Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show, highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyles, community, and neighborhood. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning. Welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Hey, Dorothy, the Masters is in our rearview mirror.
Woohoo!
You know what that means in this area, that we're getting into the high season, where there's a ton of activity in Moore County and surrounding Lee County. And we're going to be talking later in the show today all about many of the events going on in Southern Pines. In particular, First Friday, we're going to be talking about the Sunrise Theater. We're going to talk a lot about how Southern Pines has become such a charming, beautiful attraction as a town, a place to live, and you've heard me say it many times on the air, so it's nothing new to you, right?
No, not at all.
A couple of weeks ago, we had Peggy Taphorn on from the Temple Theater, and she's become a regular, even though she's based in Lee County.
Yes, she has.
But and the reason that we do is because people like Peggy come to Moore County all the time, and they draw both from our student population, where she's providing access to the arts with a very iconic theater.
Yes.
And a lot of energy.
A lot of energy.
Yep, and we have another gentleman with us today from Lee County as well, who I think fits the same description.
I would have to agree with that.
Bill Kempfer?
Yes.
So the 28th and the 30th, from the 28th to the 30th of April, there's going to be the Southern Side-by-Side Championship and Exhibition at the Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School in Sanford. And for people here who are not aware of it, it is a gift that residents from Moore County, it's a 25-minute drive. Bill, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm super.
25 minutes?
25, 30 minutes, yes, from the Southern Pines area.
Tell me, let's start with 101 and then just move from there. Tell me about the shooting school. Tell me about the philosophy of the shooting clays as opposed to animals or hunting. It's a recreational facility that you have. It's a gorgeous facility if you look at your website. Just stunning.
Well, thank you, Bill. Deep River started conceptually back in 1987. I had learned about sporting clays and had started shooting it. And to go back a little bit, I grew up on a little farm in South Carolina, and my dad put in trap to help make some extra income. And I, being the youngest, I was in charge of the traps, so a trap field. So I was the one that threw the targets and pulled the targets and did all the gun club things. Well, so I've been around this a long time, and I enjoyed that. That was something I enjoyed. But my real passion is bird hunting. I love to chase birds, in particular quail. But I learned about sporting clays by reading about it in the Wall Street Journal, in 1986 or 85. So I started shooting it and enjoyed the game very, very much. And I got to wondering, I was kind of thinking about a change of what I was doing. And so I was wondering if the golf model would work with sporting clays, because Forbes had called it golf with a shotgun. And it is very much like that. It's not where you stand in one place and you shoot. You actually move around a course. Our course is about 1.1 miles long. And you shoot at 13 different stations, like different holes. And some of the targets hop on the ground like rabbits, and some flush like quail or woodcock or grouse, and some fly off a tower like ducks over a pond. So you actually go on a hunt. It takes about 1.5 hours to shoot around. And but at the end of the day, you haven't shot anything, nor do you have to clean anything to take home. But we started the project with that in mind, with the mission statement of offer respite. I wanted to offer people that grew up in town, such as yourself, that never had the chance to live in the country or to enjoy the country.
That was me. In Brooklyn, we didn't have country.
Exactly. I've been there. It's hard to find a blade of grass anywhere there.
That's right.
But I can say that I grew up in the woods, and I loved being in creation. Let's just put it that way. To me, that it's just such a blessing. And so I noticed that in Raleigh, for instance, that a lot of people just didn't have that background. They didn't have access to doing the things I got to do growing up in the 50s, and 60s. Mm-hmm. Don't want to date myself too much.
Okay.
But having said that, we really wanted to offer that respite or that opportunity to others. And so that's the seed that started it all.
When I looked at the website for the first time and I looked through the pictures, here's what I thought in between the lines. The camaraderie between a father and son, mm-hmm. spending a couple of hours with your dad, doing something that as a kid you will always go back and remember it. Golfers will say the same thing. It's just spending time with someone and making memories. And developing an introduction to to shooting, but in almost like an art form.
It is called an art form because shooting something flying through the air is totally different than shooting a fixed target with a rifle or handgun. So I think an art form is a very good way to put it.
Golfers will always say that if they play a different golf course, they'll never have the same shot twice. They'll have different angles, different positions, different holes, dog legs left, dog legs right. And it's the same thing with clay shooting, isn't it, the way you have it set up?
Yes, it is. We actually change our course every month. Uh-huh. So you have a new course at least once a month. Plus, you can do different things to change up the presentation. There's not a fixed presentation of the target. So you'll shoot a few targets at each station, but how you present them to yourself is really entirely up to you.
Mm-hmm. In addition to the terrain and the mm-hmm. course, you also have a stationary, like a platform where you can shoot from one position, almost like having a miniature golf course on the main golf course for people who don't want to go out and do the walking, but they can stand and familiarize themselves with the process.
Exactly. We call that the wobble deck. We have a couple of traps there, and think of it as maybe the driving range or maybe the putting green, the practice green.
Exactly.
So where you can come and you can warm up, or if you just want to just shoot a little bit or work on something, you can there. And it's large enough that and flexible enough that you can get quite a few different shots at that particular point. Yes.
How have the demographics of Moore and Lee County in the last 10 or 15 years with the influx of more military, how has that impacted your business?
Well, demographics have impacted us a lot. To be honest with you, much like other sports, including golf, you hear the term male, pale, and stale. That is kind of... to be honest with you, that's the truth. I'm being very
that's okay
upfront here. The demographics have totally changed in the last several years.
That's right.
I would say that 30% of our business on the weekends now is young women.
Wow.
Yes, and shooting clays.
Better than shooing guys.
It is, rather than shooting guys. It's because, it's a substitution type thing, you know. You've heard of the scapegoat, so there you go. Poor clays. But having said that, we also are getting very diverse in who's showing up, and we're enjoying that. We're enjoying the benefits of that, and we really welcome people. We've kind of changed our mission statement over the years to basically build community and help others.
Yeah.
So a portion of everything we do on every event goes to help different charities in the area.
In addition to the event that's coming up on April 28th through the 30th, you also do concealed weapon classes as well?
Yes, we do. We do that normally monthly, sometimes twice a month. It depends on the demand. And we'll even do that privately for people. But we offer the concealed carry course. We also recommend training, and we offer full-line training. I have a full-time fellow that does nothing but that, Ed Strickland. He's one of our instructors. He runs the Shooting Pavilion, which is a pistol range. And we do monthly for training because it's a fun way to train, what we call IDPA fun shoots. Now, the IDPA is the International Defensive Pistol Association, and so he sets up scenarios where you actually you shoot on the move, where something happens and you respond, and it's all in fun. We don't post scores. It's not anything like that. It's a good way to train and as Clint Eastwood said, a man's got to know his limitations. Well, you got to know your limitations, and if you just shoot paper targets, you really don't know. Yeah. It's like playing catch. You really don't know about grounders till you actually do some. So,
one of the coolest things about hosting the show over 8 years is I get to meet people who are very passionate about what they do. And I get the impression that you were somehow in the 80s, you made an organic move back to maybe your upbringing, and you're doing what you love. What did you do before you got involved with the...
Well, post-college, I went into the Marine Corps,
okay.
And that was in the mid to late 60s.
Okay.
So I didn't miss anything. I was a young lieutenant in Vietnam, and so I was in the Marines from 66 to 72. And after that, I was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. So after that, I did fly briefly in a career, but I ended up getting furloughed from, you perhaps heard of the dead company called Eastern Airlines. So
yeah, we sure did.
So
I'm old enough that I flew them.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
I've been late with them too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom line is that I was looking around for work, and I met a fellow at an airport, and he offered me a job, and I went to work for Merrill Lynch.
Oh, wow.
Well, he didn't offer me the job at the airport, but we were eating a hot dog together. That's another story altogether. But anyway, a really nice guy, and I ended up working for Merrill for about 16 years.
Okay.
And I have to say that Merrill was one of the company was phenomenal at that time. Don T. Regan was the chairman of the board, CEO, and he was an incredible guy, also a Marine. He ran the company was totally different, but it started evolving, and the whole business the whole industry started changing.
Right.
And although I have to admit I was paid very well, I was just never very happy. So I kind of wanted to do something different. And after looking at a whole bunch of different things, we thought we'd give this a go. My wife and I, Mary. So
coaching and mentoring is a big part of what you do.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because there's something very good about giving back, because that's part of what you're doing. Because you're not just doing this is not for the money. This is not about the money, is it?
I jokingly, when people that I worked with at Merrill would say,
"Yeah, right.
How's it going? Or, why'd you do this?" Well, I'd say I'm working 5 times harder than I ever did at Merrill, but I'm making 1/5 the money, but I'm happy every day. I get up and I want to go to work. So that's how I look at it. But the best part is we have rocking chairs on the porch. And when people come, we're not hustling them anywhere. If they want to sit and rock and just look out at the woods, they can. Mm-hmm. There's a pavilion they can sit in, a picnic pavilion. They can spend time in the clubhouse. If they just want to get away for a while, we offer that. Mm-hmm. But the best part in being a shooting coach is you get to see people do things that they just never dreamed they could do. Yeah. I really love that. Another thing about demographics, in this day and time, there are a lot of single mothers, or single parents, I should say. It's not just mothers.
That's right.
But the single mothers that have sons, a lot of them grew up with their fathers teaching them how to shoot or to be outdoors or whatever, and they want their children to have the same opportunity. So they'll bring them to our facility so that they can have the opportunity to be around guys, I guess, learn how to spit, and which we don't condone.
We have a couple of gentlemen sitting with us listening to you speak. One of them is Anthony Parks, who is the founder, one of the founders, First Friday, the owner of the well-known ice cream parlor. Anthony, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
One of the first things you said when you walked in and met Bill was, you've got to get up there. You've been meaning to get together and get up there and see what's going on.
Yeah, I'd seen some advertisements over the past couple of years, and really wanted to try to get up there. It's been a long time since I've shot clay, and I grew up as a hunter, and
did you
spent time with my father out in the woods, especially growing up in central North Carolina. There's a lot of land. If you know the right person, you can go out and hunt some birds and spend some time outside. And we used to go to the gun club in Pinehurst, and that was where we could go. That was close. We didn't have to trek out to somebody's land and wait all day to practice. We could go out there and shoot a little bit and meet with friends, and that was always a big deal to go out there with my dad, and then they closed that down one day, and I thought that was kind of a mistake on their part. But I was young, and I thought everything that grown-ups did was a mistake. So, but in the long run, I think that it would have been great if they had kept that around. But thankfully, we've got folks doing what they're doing with Deep River and provide that opportunity so I can take my son up there. So that's what I want to do, is get my son up there and get him out there to try it out.
So, Bill, for you're celebrating the Spring Classic. It's your 18th anniversary? 18th
this will
year?
be the 18th edition of it, yes.
Wow. So some years, it's a noble goal just to keep things running and keep things together. If people go on your website and they look at some of the pictorials, it looks like an Andrew Wyeth picture. The way you have cultivated, and you know who Andrew Wyeth is.
Yes, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful scenery. And you have a gorgeous pro shop, and is it like a lodge?
Well, we try to make it as welcoming and as country as we can.
Yeah.
So we try to keep it rustic, too. So the clubhouse is basically very rustic, but it does have a wood stove in it and a place to sit. But our pro shop, we carry quite a few things. We do custom gun fitting. I'm a gun fitter. I've been a gun fitter for over 30 years. We offer wing shooting instruction. We offer a lot of things, but in the shop itself, we have everything from shotguns to handguns to clothing. Some of the lines you might recognize are Barber. We carry Dewberry boots. We carry Breval sport clothing, and several other. I'm Galco. We have a great assortment. Anything you might need to shoot, we have available for you. So, and likewise, if somebody wants to come and shoot around a clays and put their toe in the water and see, we offer different packages. We have a try-it-out package where somebody can come and spend a little time with an instructor and just shoot a few targets to see whether they like it or not. That's really great for children and for different people to want to just visit and just get a taste. The other thing that we offer is in the gun fitting, we offer a gun fit check. If you buy a gun from us, we can offer a free gun fit check after you've shot it a while. It's kind of like a baseball glove. You get used to it.
Yeah.
That we'll see where it's printing and then offer any adjustments to you that or tell you what you should be doing.
People can go to your website, deepriver.net.
Yes.
And you can also click on Southern Side by Side.
Yes, southernsidebyside.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would help, right?
Yes.
If you just click without the .com,
it'll come
nowhere.
Up. Trust me, it'll come up. Southern Side by Side will come up.
So the world of social media is one of the things that has changed since you started Deep River, and that has had to help get the word out.
Yes, without a doubt. Everything's changed.
Right.
It's just amazing.
Right.
But this year, the event, the buzz on the social media side is just incredible.
Right.
So, yeah.
Does your wife run that for you, or do you?
Actually, we hired a full-time guy that does nothing but that now.
Really?
Yeah.
So all your friends at Merrill Lynch are looking, and now they're probably retired and they have nothing to do, and they see you loaded with passion, doing what you love. And guess who's better off in the long run? You are.
Well, at the end of the day, when I wake up in the morning, I love what I do, and I get a chance to go do it. Yeah. So somebody will say to me, well, you're over 70, you ought to retire. And I said, well,
are you really?
Well, yes. And so what are you going to do? And I said, well, I think I'll go hang out at the gun range. You know what? I mean, I'm living the dream.
Good for you.
I actually serve as the chair of the Range Advisory Council for the National Shooting Sports Foundation, which is the trade association for the shooting industry. And so I have a seat on the Board of Governors as a result of that. And I was sitting with the CEO of Browning, and his name's Travis Hall. And Travis looked at me, and we smiled at each other, because I was telling him that my oldest son was going to be 48 in 2 weeks. This was just a couple of weeks ago. And he says, Bill, I'm 48. But he says, you know what? We're both living the dream. And we are. Because he was telling me about his hunts and some things he was doing with his son. And so yeah.
Deep River,
very fortunate.
Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School is a 25 or 30-minute drive, and it is something that if a lot of people are not aware of it, hopefully they will become aware of it as a result of the event that you're having, the 28th to the 30th of April.
Yes.
And I encourage everybody to go on and look at your website. It is really an eye-opening website.
Well, let me, can I just say one thing about the event?
Sure.
We'll have a little over about 27,000 square feet of tent space available for vendors on the site, on our property from setup days on the 27th. There will be 80 exhibitors. Some have come all the way from London.
Wow.
Some have come from Germany and Italy.
Wow.
Some from all over the country. We'll have participants that will be from certainly all over the country and Canada. In fact, we have a gun maker from Canada, of all places, this time. We've got, there'll be 2,500 people there over the 3 days.
Right.
We'll have food trucks. We're going to have bluegrass music on Saturday afternoon and a barbecue. There's no gate fee. So all you have to do is drive up. If you find you have to park a distance away, we'll have a shuttle that'll be running around collecting you and taking you in. There's no charge.
Okay.
And you can go and visit and talk to some of the gun makers like Akin, Grant & Lang out of London, Holland & Holland, Wesley Richards. These are some old storied names. And
I'm going to call all my relatives from Brooklyn and send them down here that weekend, and they'll be in culture shock, but they would love it. Bill, thanks so much for coming to join us. Best of luck with the event.
My pleasure.
Yeah, Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting Schools, place where memories can be made, and I love your passion, and you're right, you're living the dream. Thank you so much. We're going to be right back.
Gets up late for work. In the middle of our street, our house. In the middle of our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening, and it's usually.
Welcome back to the second set of All Things Moore County. Dorothy, was that an impressive gentleman?
Oh, yes,
Bill?
it was. He took over the microphone, didn't he? That was good, though. It was very interesting.
He looks like he's 50.
I wouldn't have guessed he was over 70. That's
High
for sure.
energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the guys sitting at the table right now just said, "Oh my gosh!" They have something to shoot for now for 20 more years, right?
Yes, they do.
I'm sitting. We're gonna shift gears a little bit. We're gonna move away from Lee County. We're gonna talk about Moore County specifically. We're gonna talk about Southern Pines, the magic of Southern Pines, what's been happening here over the last 10 or 12 years, and getting into April, we are starting to enter a very vibrant season where people who live in this area love to be outdoors. They love to be downtown. There's probably more energy in a very small area than anywhere in Moore County right now, with people of all ages, all walks of life. And one of the people very partial, or more than partially responsible for that is Anthony Parks, who is probably best known as the owner of the Ice Cream Parlor in downtown Southern Pines, which is as iconic a retail establishment, I think, as there is here. It looks like any movie set that you've seen of yesteryear. And when you see the kids and the dogs and the parents hanging around outside, going in and out in the evenings, it probably might be the most recognizable snapshot of the town. He's also one of the founders of First Friday. So I'm going to just say good morning again. And I've sort of tracked you a little bit over the years. I mean, and what you are doing here is phenomenal, and you have a whole team of people, some who have joined you today and some who could not be here. We're going to talk about First Friday, talk about the Sunrise Theater. How do you have time to do all what you're doing?
That's a good question. I'm not quite sure where the time comes from, but
or where it goes.
Where it goes, yeah. And my wife has got me finally on the track to start saying no to doing some things, when asked. I love Southern Pines. I love to talk about the theater and First Friday and Southern Pines. And I care about the place growing up here, so whenever somebody comes along and says, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this," I say yes, and then it goes from there. And I'm so glad I have. It's been really fulfilling. So.
Well, you're joined by Keith Seiler, who is the taproom manager of the Southern Pines Brewing Company, which is now also in a very few years has also become a very iconic establishment in the Southern Pines Pinehurst area. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Yeah, we've done so much in the last just 2.5 years.
Crazy.
It's business is just blowing up, and we're really getting involved in some different things that we haven't in the past couple of years. So it's very interesting these times right now.
When we were talking to Bill Kempfer, Deep River clay shooting, he was talking about the changing demographics that has really helped his business. The changing demographics in Southern Pines is crazy. What's been happening here?
Oh, it's huge. It's the military base of families is it's crazy. I mean, just coming from where I've come from, we never really saw that. So the military family's a huge base, and you always see changing because when people transfer in and out, you get new faces, and we start to create those new relationships.
And they all drink beer.
And they all drink beer. Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see some people come back.
Yeah.
And it's great to see some new faces too.
That's right.
Constantly.
That's right. I also want to introduce Mike Murphy, who's an old friend from Nationwide Insurance. And Mike, you've been a resident of Southern Pines. You are pretty active in the community. Your business is based here right on Pennsylvania Avenue, below Bennett. Is it below, or is it right above? Below.
It's below. Right,
yeah.
Right.
And how long have you been at that location?
We just started our 8th year here in Southern Pines, so I mean, I don't know where that time went either. So it's been a great change for my family moving down here from Raleigh.
Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah. This talking about that.
This town just really absorbs you.
Yeah.
And then you don't realize how much time has gone by.
So you have how many children?
3.
Ages?
Right now they are 9, 6, and my little son is going to turn 3 on Saturday. So.
On Saturday. Mm-hmm. Anthony, your children are? Well, they're not kids anymore.
No, I've got a big one in high school, and 2 13-year-olds and a 9-year-old.
Oh my goodness!
So a full house at home.
So both you guys, with your families and your kids, you're very invested in the community of what Southern Pines has become. How did you recruit Mike?
Well, actually, I met Mike at First Friday.
Did you really?
Back about midway through, or after the first couple of years, that they weren't as big of an event. It was a little bit smaller, and had a little more time to walk around and talk to people and meet people. And the things he talked about when we first met, endeared me to him right away. He said that he was relocating down here. He loved the area. He loved the feel of the town, the picturesque landscape, the people, and instantly asked how he could become involved with helping with First Friday. And ever since, he's been a sponsor. He's been out there picking up trash with us. He's a planner, a volunteer. I don't know if he's missed an event since he started, maybe one, but he's been a big part of it ever since, and we've been great friends.
If you were to tell anybody, if you were trying to describe cheers. Right.
Cheers. Good morning.
As we're sitting here looking at a couple of large cans of the Crowler.
Crowler. Yeah.
Crowler.
It's a Crowler.
Dark beer.
One's a dark beer and one's a wit beer.
It's morning, just so we know. It's just before 11 a.m.
It might be 4 o'clock in Ireland, though, so we're good.
It's perfect time.
Yeah.
So we were talking before the show. I've said this before on the show. The movie It's a Wonderful Life. Bedford Falls, Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed, the Christmas classic, is a movie that depicts the charm of Southern Pines. Are you guys familiar with the Michael J. Fox movie Doc Hollywood?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You remember the Squash Blossom Festival?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, send that to Google that to one of your friends, and then say, now take a more urbane look, a more updated version of those two movies, and that is what Southern Pines offers.
You could pull off a movie like that here now. If
couldn't you?
If you went out downtown during some of the sunrise events where they do the fake snow and have the sledding,
right?
The Blessing of the Hounds, all the festivals in Pinehurst and Southern Pines. I mean, if you took snapshots of this, you could put together a similar movie to those in a heartbeat.
There are a lot of passionate, I say this, young people in Southern Pines. I'm going to mention Jessica Harrelson just for one. She's been on the show in the past. We had the pleasure of helping her find a home here in Southern Pines when she moved here, she and her husband. She has taken the bull by the horns and become a real proactive spokesperson for the town, hasn't she?
She absolutely has, yeah. Her work with the theater and she opened Swank Coffee Shop, and as a great example of what the military wives in the area are doing, who become involved, and if they're fortunate enough to be able to plant roots here like they have and stay for a while, her impact downtown is immeasurable with the amount of work that she's doing.
Mike, you work with a lot of new homeowners too who are moving into town, and don't you find that so many of them, if they're buying a home but they're only here for a 3 to 5 year period, they want to stay. They want to come back. They don't want to leave here permanently.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When we do get new homeowners, a client, they do move away, we always say, we'll see you again soon.
That's right.
Because they all seem to want to come back here.
That's right.
And most recently, one of my good friends who I met working with one of my earlier jobs up in Raleigh, I've been telling him about this place for 10 years. I mean, not for 10 years, but for a long time.
Right.
And he just finally moved here in December, and he said, man, I wish I listened to you a lot earlier because this place is magical.
Right.
It really is. I mean, something about this town just grabs you.
It's a great place to wake up every morning.
It is.
Yeah. One of our friends, Nikki Bowman, couldn't be here today. Nikki is the broker owner of Realty World, and a great real estate broker and a great friend and a real high energy lady. And she has her family has grown up here and gone to the Moore County Public Schools, and she is going to be, I guess, one of your chief sponsors for the First Friday, and we're going to talk more about that in the next set. But she's put herself front and center of supporting your efforts.
Yeah, and we were so thrilled to have another local sponsor step up. We have 7 sponsors for the year. One's a main sponsor, and to have somebody step into that big position and have them be local is fantastic. Nikki's mom was my 6th grade teacher.
I didn't know that.
So I've known Nikki since she was just a little kid.
Is that right?
And all her partners are all from here, and I know them. And it's just so great that we don't have to have some huge out-of-town sponsor come in, that we have the local support from folks like Nikki.
I didn't know that she was Moore County born and raised.
Oh, yeah.
You see, I know people professionally, and I've known Nikki always as a real estate broker. I did not realize her roots were here.
Oh, yeah. Some of us are lucky enough to have spent our whole lives here.
Even when I first came here in 1979, in the early 1980s, I thought, I died and went to heaven, and I said, how do I get down here? I was living in New York. I said, this place it's too good to be true. And that was when the east side of Broad Street was almost completely shut down with broken glass fronts. It looked like something from an old movie that a northerner with a provincial attitude would look down upon the South. But today, it's like Buckhead. It's crazy. No, it really is.
Yeah. Central North Carolina, there's a lot of those quaint little towns, and some of them just don't make it. The mill dries up, the industry shuts down, and they can't survive. And the unique aspects of the 3 towns here together, I think, kind of backing each other up, and golf, horse country, military, hospital, we all, work together and have kept this place alive. And I think, the whole area, the whole region is at its high point right now. I don't think it could get much better.
You remember that old department store right across the street from where the ice cream parlor was? Mm-hmm. In the 80s, you were probably in elementary school. I would walk in there, and I thought I was in the Twilight Zone. I was walking back in time.
Yeah.
It was like nothing I had ever seen. I forgot the name of the store.
There was a Pope's downtown at one point, which was like a little 5 and dime kind of a store.
Yeah.
And then, Theater Antiques, which just closed this year, had been there for 40-some years.
Right.
So almost all of those places are gone now. The ice cream parlor, the bookstore, a couple of the bars and restaurants around have been here for quite a while. But it certainly has changed since those days.
Let's come back in the third set. We're going to be talking all about Southern Pines with our guest. This is All Things Moore County.
Our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening, and it's usually quite loud. Our mum, she's so in the middle of our street, our house. In the middle of our house.
Hey, welcome back to our final set of All Things Moore County. We're talking about First Friday. We're talking about the Sunrise Theater. We're talking about the energy and the vibrancy of this town, which has evolved. And Anthony, to my mind, Southern Pines is one of the top 2 or 3 towns in the entire state of North Carolina for its natural charm. And we talk about it all the time. It's a great place to wake up every morning.
Absolutely. You know, as a kid here, growing up here,
I
didn't think it was so special. I thought it was boring, you know, and then after 10 years away in college and starting a family, I realized, and traveling, I did quite a bit of traveling and saw other places, and I realized this is a great place to raise a family.
When you were in high school, I remember this, there was nothing to do for kids. You would hang out in the parking lot at Harris Teeter.
That's right.
Or where the Walmart is today. I mean, there was nothing to do except to get in trouble. There weren't enough. That's not the case today for your kids. They know Southern Pines completely differently than you did.
That's exactly right. Yeah, there's due to the efforts of people who volunteer and put the time in. There's so many options now for kids. It's really great.
Yeah. First Friday has become maybe the crowning achievement of what defines the town and defines the people that are here who take part in it. Let's talk a little bit about the events you have planned, the sponsors that are making it all possible for this year, because we're right at the beginning of that happening.
And that's funny you mention that. When I was living out of town in Winston-Salem and Greensboro and moved back here, the 2 things that I missed about those areas, I didn't miss the shopping centers and all that. I missed the breweries and the music halls. There was no place to see, a lot of music here, and we didn't have a brewery. So those 2 things are here now with tons of other things. So it really has made it into the perfect place to live. And First Friday that's one of the reasons we started First Friday, was to bring in music from out of town. Michael Henry and Shane Mowbray and I sat and decided to have this free event. And the way we can have it be free is because of our sponsors. If we didn't have the sponsorship, we wouldn't be able to do this and have so many people out there and have such great music. This year we have the Marcus King Band is starting off. He's a 20-year-old guitar player from South Carolina who is already being lauded as one of the next great guitar players and singers and songwriters in the country. His name is getting big very quickly, and so we were very lucky to get him. We have a few North Carolina bands and some Louisiana horns and soul and funk and bluegrass and swing. We really try to do a variety. And the way we can bring in these great acts from out of town is because of our sponsorships. Obviously, Realty World is our main sponsor for the year, Nikki and Jessica and those girls. And then we have Dreyer Capital Management from downtown Southern Pines has been a long-term sponsor. Hot Asana, the yoga studio downtown, long-term sponsor. First Citizens, Triangle Wine, Southern Pines Brewing Company, the Mockingbird on Broad, and this year we added the new Lowe's Foods joined us to sponsor as well. So without them, we wouldn't have the quality event that we can put on based on their support. We're able to do that.
When you guys sit back and you observe a First Friday going on, how many generations of people do you see in the streets?
Well, our goal is to have it be a family-friendly event. So, we see babies all the way up through retirees, and they may come and leave at different times during the day, but we're fully represented out there. It's really nice to see.
And the interesting thing is probably 6 or 7 years ago, we could walk around and pretty much know 90% of the people who were there.
That's right.
But here lately,
he raises a good point.
We don't know who is there. A lot more strollers are here.
Oh, but goodness,
which is a great thing for the future future of the Southern Pines.
Dogs and babies.
Yeah. And the great thing is we have people coming who get there at 3:30 or so and set up a chair in the lawn so they can reserve their spot, and we find out they're not even from Southern Pines or Moore County. They might be from Wilmington or South Carolina. We had somebody come up from Florida to see one of our events, I think 2 years ago.
Right.
So it's amazing the reach of this event. It really is.
Yeah. Keith, you're originally from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
How long have you been here? Because this is not like anything they do in Pittsburgh.
No. So I have been here about 2 years.
Okay.
We made a stop in Greensboro for a little while, and then we moved here. Just a great change of lifestyle, and really just as we talked about with Bill earlier, it's about doing what you want to do, and I made that step to say, this is what I want to do. Working with the brewery and just being in front of people. That's what it's about. But Pittsburgh was definitely different.
There are a lot of people who come here and they start again, and there's an entrepreneurial spirit here. The gentleman who bought the Champion car wash is from Buffalo, Anthony,
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about this story. It's fun.
Great guy.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of things with that car wash, and he came from Wall Street and from New York and Connecticut to come back and return to his roots because his family in Buffalo were in the automotive business. So now he's turning a second chapter, but he wanted to do it here. So there's something about new beginnings and rebirth, and there's something about Southern Pines. Maybe it's in the water. Remember that movie Cocoon, where John Amici and those guys were getting their youth back from getting into this pool. Well, there's something about Southern Pines. Maybe it's in the water. Who knows? Or the beauty.
Well, this town's definitely not similar to Cocoon as much as it used to be.
That's right.
But I love that. I love hearing about Keith coming down from Pennsylvania and Mike from Raleigh to the town.
Yep.
I think about it all the time. How my father grew up in Red Springs, North Carolina, and went to college, and then was in the National Guard, and lived in multiple different towns, and then decided to come here to open his business up. He looked around and did his research and opened up a business here. And if he had not done that, I could have grown up outside of Fort Benning or in Red Springs, North Carolina, or just east of Raleigh where he lived for a little while, or Robbins. My life would be completely different. And he chose here, and it made me who I am. And so that's why I'm here and still a part of it today.
Bring me up to date on the stage that's being constructed to the right of the Sunrise Theater, because that's an exciting project.
We are really excited about the stage. We've talked about it for 10 years or more, and when you're working with a nonprofit group, it's difficult to get things done, because ideas can change, people change on boards, but it is almost complete. And we'll be ready for the First Friday event. In a couple of weeks, it'll be ready, and then we'll add some landscaping and stuff like that. First Bank stepped up and took a huge portion of our expenses to get this built, and so very happy to have such a local institution be a part of this stage.
I hear the name First Bank so many times on the show. Where they are always consistently stepping up in the community. There are other banks that do as well, but they are for sure. Talk about a community relationship, with a local bank. And how are the brick sales going? Because I remember getting a flyer from More Choices from Julia Brockmeyer, and I thought it was cool. You were selling bricks. One brick that could be engraved or inscripted with whomever the company or the individual was donating, and to have a brick on as part of the stage.
Right,
Mike.
The sales of bricks have gone really well, and they're flying out. They're flying. I mean, they really are. As of yesterday, I think we had 13 left. So if you're interested in one,
I'm interested in one.
Just stop by the Sunrise Theater. There's 60 characters spaces that you can put on there, and it's 3 lines of 20. So the price of the brick is, I think it's $350, but it's going to be there for the lifetime of the stage.
That's right.
A lot of people have been giving them in their family names, or putting their names on there, or their past relative, or.
So you have to go over to the Sunrise Theater?
The Sunrise, yep, and they can email you the application, and then it'll be good to go.
Yeah, Dorothy, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the radio station. I'll do it on my own behalf. Don't worry, it's okay. Don't tell Steve. We'll definitely do that. So you have about 13 bricks left.
Yep.
So that was a pretty cool marketing idea to raise some money.
It was great.
Because it's not just a donation and then it disappears. It's part of the stage.
Well, it fits into the kind of the history and the vibe of the theater. The theater's been a nonprofit for so long and had champions and donors and sponsors for so long that that's kind of how we kept it going. And that feeling is like, you're a part of this. You're not just making a donation. If you're passionate about this and you want to see this, you're a part of it. So we're putting people's names on the bricks, and it keeps in line with what we've been doing with the theater for years.
The first Friday, what's the first date?
It's actually Cinco de Mayo.
May 5th?
May 5th. And we do actually have a taco truck coming, so that actually worked out better than we anticipated.
And how late during the season are you going to run it? From May through?
All the way through October, the first Friday of each month.
Right through October.
Southern Pines Brewing Company will be on hand. We'll have food trucks, free kids for activities, and, of course, admission is free always.
Okay. Tell me what's up with Jessica these days. Jessica Harrell. I haven't seen her. I always love to see her. She comes in here sometimes kicking and screaming, but she always does well when she comes in. She talks, but she says, I can't do this. But she does a pretty good job.
Her plate's full all the time.
Is that right?
She does a great job with the Sunrise. She's perfect for the Sunrise and what the Sunrise is trying to do.
She could be the busiest person in town,
Right.
The theater has so much going on, and she's kind of the focal point of all those people who are volunteering their time. She's the center of the universe over there. The theater does everything from Blues Crawl in October, which is a huge blues event.
It's actually November this year, I believe.
Oh, it's November? I thought it was October.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
The theater has the Met Opera, the classic movies series. They have current movies. Live theater, free events and movies for kids. St. Louis Community College just had a TED Talks there.
That's right.
And of course we have Southern Pines Brewing on tap. You can get a beer while you watch a movie in there. So all these different moving parts, keep Jessica pretty busy. Anybody who's involved with the theater really puts in a lot of effort and time to keep that thing going.
One of the great things about Jessica is she never complains about how busy she is. So she knows it's for a good purpose, and she gets it done.
She's high energy, and you can go to the sunrisetheater.com. Is that the website?
That's right.
If people need to go and just catch up on what's going on. We always tell people when they're moving into the area, and if Nikki was here, I would have a conversation with her about it. We always tell people, and she would agree, people come here and it's a daytime community in a lot of ways. People get up early, sometimes they go to bed early, but there's so much to do during the day. And you walk downtown, you drive through downtown Southern Pines, and you see generations of families walking the streets, shopping, eating. And I'm talking about little grandchildren, mothers, their mothers, sometimes 4 generations. Mm-hmm. It's just the coolest thing to see. It's like watching your own home movie.
Yeah. We filled those days up, too. Looking out the window of the ice cream parlor for the past 15 years. It used to be a little slow in the morning and slow in the evening, but there are joggers and dog walkers at 6:30 in the morning, coffee drinkers, yoga, yoga doers, I guess you would say, yogers, all the way in the lunch crowd, the shopping crowd, the afternoon shopping crowd, dinner, drinks, movie, restaurants, bars. So it's really a full day now in Southern Pines. That's why we're at our peak.
How many hours a week do you put in? Honestly, 200?
Well, when you own your own business, I don't think you can really say when you stop working.
That's right.
But I'm there 5 days a week at least, so a basic 40. Yeah.
What are your hours at the ice cream parlor?
We're 7 days a week, 10:30 till 9 o'clock at night.
So you really do open up for an early lunch, but not a breakfast, at least not yet.
Breakfast. No, we had to leave that out. We've been asked, but we leave that up to Betsy's Crepes and the bakery and Nosh, that other places that are open. So we have to rest.
You bring up a good point. There is a wonderful spirit of cooperation between the business people in Southern Pines, where it's almost like team. And yes, it's friendly competition, but it's also everyone seems to have their eye on the greater good and what's best for the town. And I've always seen that here, and that's very true today.
I feel like what ties that together a little bit is, there's new folks, new business owners in town that come in, but the atmosphere is, for example, I went to middle school with several business owners on the street. Right. Or my father did business with, my banker. And Your insurance agent is your friend, and your brewer is your friend, and your next door neighbor. Is still a small enough community to where everybody still gets along really well. It's really tight knit.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting year in Southern Pines, and I want to thank you guys for coming in and sharing with us about it. Keith Seiler, Southern Pines Brewing Company is rocking, and it's going to be a busy year for you.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy year. We have we're building a lot of outdoor events going on. Our deck is going to happen soon. We finally got all the permissions to do it, so that should be going up starting either this month or the beginning of next.
Yeah.
So we should be doing some outside entertainment there also.
You keep bringing these big cans of beer. You're going to be one of the most popular guys in town.
You know what? I'll tell you what. It's great walking around town and people know you from where you work.
I'm looking at the can, rooted in the community.
Rooted in the community.
I love that. Local.
Yeah. That is their mantra. They live by that, and they believe that's what we need to do.
Yeah, and Mike Murphy, Nationwide, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
Your kids will be all over First Friday this year.
They always are.
Right?
Yeah, they love music. I mean, one of the best things we do every night is we sit on our patio in the back of our house and listen to music, and we're not interrupted by sirens or horns blowing. I mean, that's what the magic of small town America is. That's a great part of being down here.
Be glad you didn't raise them in Manhattan. They would you have to close all the windows and look at the patio. So that's a patio out there on the other side of the glass. It's good to see you, and thanks for all your support for everything that you do. And finally, Anthony Parks, we're going to call you the father of First Friday. Just a founder or one of the inspirations.
Way too many hands to pick a father.
Tell Nikki Bowman from Realty World that I'm not going to take it personally that she didn't come in, but when I see her, I'm going to give her a little bit of peace of my mind because she's a great lady. She's a great broker. I love to see that she's wrapping herself into something that she enjoyed as a kid and now her children. So it's sort of like giving back.
Yeah, we'll get her on next year when she sponsors again next year.
That's right. That's a way to get her. Very good, guys. Good luck this year. Come and visit Southern Pines, and if you live here, get involved in the town, and it's a great networking opportunity as well. This is All Things Moore County. We'll speak to you next week. Thank you.
Our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening, and it's usually quite loud. Our mum, she's so house proud.